Test, test, test. to invite legislators into the chambers.
I hear you now. Thank you.
And I'm calling this meeting of the Rules Committee to order. Ask you all rise and ask Legislator Bill Gaylord to lead us in the pledge.
Sure. If everyone would please rise, face the flag, hand over heart, and join me by saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, could you call the roll, please?
Presiding officer, just for the Rules Committee you'd like? Thank you. Rules Committee roll call. Legislator Sheila Bino. Legislator Delia DeRiggi-Whitten. Ranking Member Kavan Abrahams. Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Vice Chairman Howard Copel. Chairman Richard Nicolello. We have a quorum, sir.
Hey, thank you. As we always do, we're going to start with the contracts first, and I'm going to call them all at once. A1 and A9 of 2022, resolutions authorizing the Commissioner of Shared Services to award and execute a purchase order or a blanket purchase order between the County of Nassau and All Island Equipment Corp., American Communications Industries. B1 of 2022, a resolution authorizing the county executive to award and execute a contract between the county and E&A Restoration. E4, E6, E7, E8, E9, E10, E11, E12, E13, E15, E16 of 2022. These are resolutions authorizing the county executive to execute personal services agreements or amendments to personal services agreements between the county and Be Ready Fishbine, LK McLean Associates, Lyro Engineers, Cash and Associates, AECom, DeBruin Engineering, Arcadis and Hazen, Greenman Peterson, RTR Financial, and CH at M Hill Engineering. Moved by Deputy Presiding Officer Copel, seconded by Minority Leader Abrahams. So the first order of business, now that they've all been called, is that we have two contracts that are going to be tabled. The Inspector General has not finished her investigation on these two. So I need a motion to table contracts B1 and E12 of 2022. Moved by Legislator Schaefer, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. All in favor of tabling those two contracts, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, they are tabled. There's B1 of 22, and E12 of 22. All right, we'll go to the IT contract to start things off. A9 of 2022. Information Technology, American Communications Industries.
Good afternoon. Joe Jacovina, IT Deputy Commissioner. A9 2022 American Communications Industries, Inc., also known as ACI. This is to award a blanket purchase order to ACI for a period of 1 year with option to renew for an additional 4 one-year periods. ACI provides support for the county's phone systems, supports phone-related moves, adds, and changes, trenching, lays conduit, pulls cables, runs fiber lines both externally and internally, and provides related equipment for various county projects. The police department and the DA also utilize ACI services under the existing blanket. The bid was viewed by 27 vendors, 2 submitted bids, and ACI was the low bidder. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Is this a new contract, or is this something that we've had?
No, sir. ACI has been with the county.
Okay. And the total is $16 million. Is that spread over 4 years? It's a maximum amount of $16 million, according to my backup.
The $16 million, I'd like to ask Robert Cleary if he could just discuss the $16 million.
Yes, the contract is $16 million over 5 years.
Oh, 5 years. Okay. Any concern that we only have 2 bidders on this? I mean, it's such a large contract.
Not particularly. I mean, it's maintenance of phone systems. You know, it's they're both established vendors, I believe. I don't think there was any question about whether either one could perform the services. This is one we're familiar with, so we don't have any real concerns there. You're not going to get too many vendors in a market like this.
Okay. Any other questions? Legislator Reggie Whitten.
Hi. Does this contract? I know it covers maintenance and upgrades, but what about new equipment? Is it covered also?
Yes, it does cover new equipment as required. The contract also calls for, because we have many variables going forward, especially with phone technology, the vendor is asked to be flexible over the next 5 years. What we've been using this vendor for is we've been greatly improving our Wi-Fi availabilities in our parks. This vendor does a lot of work around that. He also assists us in the moves. We're currently supporting the TIPFA move. He was available to provide services for the family court, and we expect a lot of additional moves. As departments move, we try to do 2 things. When we move a department to their new space, we try to increase and improve the infrastructure to meet the current technology requirements. And the space that they're vacating, we do the same thing. We try and upgrade wherever we can. This vendor also provides services to the jail, where it's a specialized cabling, specialized wiring because of the cinder block, the safety concerns, and this vendor has done a good job for us over the past 5 years.
So are these primarily for like the stationary phones, or is it for cellular phones also?
Well, the Wi-Fi would be
That's what I figured.
for networking and cell phones.
So they provide
But
both.
they do provide for the landline maintenance also.
Okay, so this provides for all the cell phones in the county as well as all the landlocked ones?
It provides for the infrastructure to support that. The
Okay.
county itself supports the cell phones.
Okay, so,
And the mobile devices the county IT supports.
all right, so there's no phones, it's just the structure.
Yes.
Okay.
Legislator Schaefer.
I don't know if I really have a question now, but I will ask some semblance of it anyway. So you had said before it covers the for new phones. So you're saying it's the infrastructure,
Yes.
right? But I think Legislator Ridgewitten asked if it covers new phones or a new system. Is that if you're hooking up in a new line or something? Or
No,
we're totally off?
we would put in, the county supports the infrastructure for the phone system.
Right.
We support that equipment.
Okay.
This vendor does not purchase that equipment for us.
Okay, so it
This
doesn't
vendor will
include that.
support us in maintaining that equipment, or if we have changes, adds, and deletes
Okay.
to that equipment.
Okay. Even if you purchase, what if you purchase some, new kind of, a totally different type of system, different type of phone? Like a much, I don't know, if
Well,
the way it's changing. If there was,
County IT would make that decision.
Okay.
With the appropriate input from other areas.
Mm-hmm.
This vendor would then assist us in installing that if we require new lines, new fiber, trenching, et cetera.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next contract is with the county attorney, and it's E4 of 2022 with Be Ready Fish Barn.
Good afternoon, legislators. Brian Libbert from the County Attorney's Office. This is a contract for legal services with the law firm of Be Ready, Fishbein, Hatter, and Donovan. It is a case-specific contract in that it does identify the matters that are being handled, and they are available in the appendix there for you, and therefore I'm not going to list them all. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer the same, as always.
Our understanding is that the law firm has been providing services under this contract since 2018. Is that correct or not?
That is correct.
And so why is it coming to us in 2022?
I think there are a variety of answers to that question, and I'm going to give you as many of them as I can think of right now, and I think there are a bunch. But first of all, this contract, prior to its newest amendment that you're seeing, was what was called a qualified areas contract, which our office was more or less asked not to do and discouraged from doing by this body. So there was a move in our office to create a budget and a spend for each individual matter that was assigned. And that process was very arduous. I was personally involved in it, as were the members of the law firm. There was a significant back and forth between the county and the law firm, and a lot of that time is represented here also because of the amount of work they were doing in the first place. So that's sort of the number one main reason. I would add also, and I for the record, will say, no one really wants to hear it, but we did have COVID in between also, which did create some sort of delay, even in our ability to do some of the administration. So those are the two primary reasons, without rambling.
Just the budget that you're talking about is a litigation budget, you said?
Litigation budgets, I would use that term loosely because some of it is mediation and arbitration, but litigation to the extent that our office is, doing legal services. So it's all adversarial, legal in nature.
How many specific cases are they working on at Ballpark under this contract?
At least 20 or 30. I can get you the exact number. I just happen to not have it in front of me, but it is available to me, just literally not right in front of me.
All right. Obviously COVID slowed things up, especially in the first part of 2020, but it really isn't an excuse that you couldn't get the litigation budget straightened away. It's not an excuse for that length of a delay. So is it, was this contract being deliberately held up?
I don't believe so. I certainly wasn't holding it up, and certainly there was no indication from anyone that I worked for that it was being held up, so I don't believe so.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Legislator DeRidge Whitten.
Just to kind of follow up on that, now, did they already have an existing contract, the B law firm?
Yes.
So they were working knowing that they had the existing contract and then hoping that this one would come into place, or how do they do this much work or work for this long without a contract with the county?
I think it's a very fair question, and the point that you made is actually probably the most astute, which is that they did have a prior relationship and a prior contract with the county, so that I don't want to put myself in anybody's head, but one would think that their expectation was that this was going to happen at some point, even though they were advised, as every firm that works with the county is, that all work is done at your peril until these fine legislators approve that work, and that's that. So they know that. But I, to answer your question, I think that was their expectation because they did have the prior contract, but it was at their own peril, and happy to say that for the record. I don't know if I'm happy, but it's the truth.
All right, and just to put it on the record, I'm not blaming you or anyone, but, the 19 of us here take severe offense to a contract being in existence for 3 years before it comes to us. It basically eliminates our position. So, and again, I'm not pointing you out personally, but we really hope, I think as a whole body, that this is a thing of the past very shortly.
I not only do I agree and I take it professionally and personally to heart. As you all know now who have known me, this is something that I do. This is my role here working on this outside counsel. So this is something that has been sort of sticking with me, and I'm glad to see it go away. And I am very hopeful and to say I hope this never happens again. And that is my goal as the outside counsel coordinator. So yes, of course.
I mean, just to get back to the point, I'm not sure what other contracts are in the works, but having difficulty establishing a litigation budget is not an excuse for this length of time or anything near this length of time. So we expect to get these contracts, promptly in the future. You're developing a litigation budget, again, is to echo what, let's say, DeRigi Whitten said. It basically frustrated our role in the process, which is to actually approve these contracts. So going forward, we want to see these in a timely fashion.
Totally understood, legislator.
All right. Anyone else? No. All right, thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Next contracts with the treasurer, E15 of 2022, RTR Financial.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Lisa Anella, Deputy County Treasurer. The item that you have before you is for debt collection by RTR Financial Services, and this is for various departments within the county where collection services are necessary.
Is this a new contract?
This is a new contract with a new vendor combining two previous contracts that expired with other vendors.
So the contractor gets a commission based on
Correct.
what's collected. Are there guidelines in place as to?
There's specific percentages for each of what they're entitled to collect, and it's done based upon what collections they're based on.
Okay, but I guess my question is, are there guidelines in place for which matters get referred to RTR as opposed to handled in-house?
So it's by departments, so it's for hotel motel tax collection done by the treasurer's office. It's drug and alcohol fees, consumer affair fees, DPW fees, assessment fines, and county attorney violations.
Okay, my concern, though, is we'd rather have these handled in-house to the last possible moment, and don't want to see county employees just sending these debt collection matters out. First of all, we have to pay a commission, but secondly, if it can be handled by county employees, it should be.
I believe there is a certain period of time in which it is done by the county, and then if it doesn't work out, it goes for the collection services.
I think the backup said they're subject to the Fair Debt Collection
Guidelines, right.
Okay. And does the county have anything on top of that? Obviously, that's the law, but does the county have any other requirements in terms of avoiding having somebody dunned excessively?
I don't know. I think that would be by each individual department what they're sending for collections.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any questions? Yeah, jump in.
I just have a question regarding the TIPFA role. Am I correct in remembering that they had a different contract for collections, or is this going to cover that?
I'm not sure. We reached out to each department and asked, what they had for debt collection that would fall under this contract. So we're just picking up some, some small fees and fines.
Because I sort of remember a contract where TIPFA, we were paying a company to collect the TIPFA fines not that long ago. And we were discussing whether or not boots could be implemented and things like that.
I'm not sure.
Is there a way you can check and
Sure.
get it back to us before full-edge? Because
Sure.
that stuck in my mind.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, thank you. The next contracts are with DPW. First is with A1 with all island equipment.
Good afternoon. I'm Vinnie Falkowski, Deputy Commissioner with Public Works. This is a purchase order for all island equipment. The contract value is $557,700. The item is for snow removal equipment that is being funded by the MTA's Third Track project. The equipment includes a payloader and 2 snowblower attachments. This will assist the department in clearing snow from the newly constructed underpasses on county roads. The department recommends this purchase order to all island equipment be approved as submitted.
Is it completely funded by the MTA?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I mean, I have in my neighborhood, in my district, there were two grade crossing eliminations, and the underpasses are extremely steep, so I could see why additional equipment would be needed. So, anyone else have any questions? Nope, we can go to the next one, which is E6, 2022, L.K. McLean Associates.
Good afternoon. Harold Lutz, Nassau County Department of Public Works, Director of Traffic Engineering. This contract is for an amendment, actually, to an existing contract to extend the construction inspection services for the Signal Expansion Phase 3 project. The original project experienced some delays during the winter months, and we also had equipment procurement problems, whether it be anything with the chip that has come up short and dry during COVID. There were also staffing issues during the project in terms of manpower, both for the contractor and for some of the consultants as well. There were also some typographical errors in the original contract, which this amendment was working to correct as well. And there's a rate issue where the contractor lists an engineer to do the work, or a title, I should say, as resident engineer. The resident engineer that we selected had a higher approved rate by the county, but it was not reflected in the original contract. The contract really should not be including that. However, just to make up the difference in the money to the contractor, to extend it for 12 additional months, we're looking to approve the amendment to this contract.
Deputy Presiding Officer Cole.
Thank you. So this is coming close to doubling the original amount. So in other words, you're increasing the salary for a project manager, right?
The original contract value covers that value. The $800,000 increase covers the delay to the project due to the COVID pandemic and the impact that had on procurement.
Weren't they not actually doing their services during that
No, they're
delay?
still, during the pandemic, what their job is to do is to try to secure those items, to get the contract keep moving, to still work with New York State DOT on any reimbursement, because there were several claims and work that has already been ongoing. When that work starts, we work to review the invoices. The invoices go through our system here. They're approved. Once we pay the contractor, then we go back to New York State DOT to receive 80% reimbursement on those contracts. So the resident engineer would be responsible
So they were
for
actually
that work.
working during, in other words, the county was delayed, but they were not? They were actually working?
Yes, they worked the entire time during the COVID. We didn't stop anything for construction other than maybe 1 or 2 days in the very, very beginning of the shutdown.
And this particular type of work, is this something that requires the continuity of the same contractor?
It most certainly does. You would want the same resident engineer on the project. To bring in a different resident, sometimes it brings in a different personality. The person has to come up to speed on the project. We did secure a licensed professional engineer to be the resident engineer on this project. There were a lot of technical issues on the project. There were some design changes as well in the middle of the prior to the beginning of the project, which actually pushed some of the beginnings back.
Right, so you don't want to rebid. I got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
E7 of 2022. It's with Lyro.
Good Good afternoon again. This is an extension for the contract retroactive to May of 2020 when the original contract expired to basically, I believe it's July of 2020. The construction is completed. Upon completion of construction, the resident needs to do the project closeout for this project, and we are asking for the amendment to cover that time period so that we could pay the contractor. There's no additional cost involved in this. This is just a time issue. During the time of the submittal for the amendment, obviously we're in the midst of COVID, but also the company itself was purchased by another company. So we ended up having to add in new vendor disclosure forms, and it kind of went through the system a number of times to get those things squared away and straightened out. And it was a larger company, and we're finding with larger companies when we're going through the ECRS system or the vendor portal specifically, a 10,000 person firm could have many people for vendor disclosure forms, and we're not allowed to proceed without that work or without those vendor portal information. So that also adds to the delay of the project. We have already received reimbursement for this project. We're just waiting to close this out so we can pay the contractor.
Any questions? Legislator Reggie Whitten?
Hi, Harold.
Hi, how are you?
I just have a couple questions regarding the disclosure forms, and I understand it's a big company, so, but I just want to make sure you're aware and you're okay with a few of these, including one that the contractor responded to the question regarding whether or not they'd ever been late with taxes in the past 5 years, and they did state that they were delinquent in the filing of commercial rent tax. Are you aware of that, or?
They do disclose the information in the contract, but for the purposes of our work, Lero has done a significant amount of work for the county historically and continues to provide very good services to us. We have had no issues with that, and I believe these are all reviewed through the Controller's Office and the IG when they do go through. Mm-hmm. So it not only met our approval, but as well as the rest of the procurement procedure.
Okay, and I just, only because it's here, I just want to put on the record that, Lyro also disclosed that they had a violation found by the Commissioner of Department of Environmental Protection from the City of New York. They received penalties and payments of $3,000. Again, I just, I want to make sure that we're fully aware of that, and it sounds like a hearing was held on August 20th, 2021. The stipulated penalty was agreed to by the parties of $3,000, and it's now closed. But it's just something to be aware of, that they have had some environmental issues too. So
absolutely, and that's something that did occur after this project work was completed. But like I said, we do use Lero for a significant amount of work, and I do believe, as you said, they paid their penalty, and we're hopefully enlightened on the procedures as to what they have to do.
Yeah, that's
but we'll
what
certainly
I
make note of it.
All right, I feel better hearing you say that you're enlightened about it, because that's something we really want to keep an eye on, especially environmentally.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Okay. Thanks. We'll do
Thank
it.
you.
Next one is E8 with Cashin.
Good afternoon, legislators. Robert LeBeau, architect for DPW. The amendment that you have before you this afternoon is amendment number 3 to a contract with Cashin Associates. This is for payment purposes. The work has already been performed. No additional new work will be performed with this amendment. Cashin Associates performed design and construction administration under this contract on the Milburn Creek Boat Basin project, which was severely damaged during Sandy. The work that they performed was in accordance with the agreement, which included construction administration. That project was delayed on the initial startup. It was somewhat delayed during construction with some field conditions that were found. Cashin Associates continued to provide construction administration services above and beyond the call of duty as far as the contract was concerned. That project was completed and was very successful. We filed amendment number 2 on this contract, which extended the terms, but those terms were exceeded by the duration of the contract, construction contract. We tried to get amendment number 3 before the legislature soon, but at that time, a previous administration had determined that we were not able to hear this contract. Cash and Associates contacted DPW to see how we could resolve the payment issue. Our counsel asked them to file a claim with the county attorney. The county attorney examined it and got back to us after a long period of time with the fact that we again had to go back for a third amendment, which we processed, and that's the rationale behind our appearing this afternoon before you. Again, this is strictly for payment services, payment for services already performed. No new work will be done under this amendment.
Any questions? No? Okay. Thanks for that. Next contract is with AECom USA. If you're handling the other one, there's 2 contracts with AECom. If you're handling both, you can handle both now.
I have E9, E10, 11, and E16.
Okay.
Good afternoon again. Item E922, I'm Vinnie Falkowski, Deputy Commissioner of Public Works. This is a retroactive amendment to a personal service agreement with AECom USA, Inc. This is a time extension only, no monetary adjustment. Current contract terms were 2/3/2016 to 12/31/2019. The proposed contract terms are to add an additional 24 months ending on 12/31/2023. The project is the subject of a New York State Department of Environmental Conservation consent agreement. The amendment is for design-related construction and O&M services for the Bay Park raw sewage pumping facility currently in construction. The project this firm is servicing experienced several delays, which created the need for this amendment. The department recommends that a time extension of 24 months to expire on 12/31/23 for AECom USA be approved as submitted.
Any questions? No? We're good. So I guess, so would you say you had E10, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to that one.
Okay, Vinnie Falkowski again, Deputy Commissioner of Public Works. Amendment 1 to a personal service agreement with De Bruin Engineering PC. Increased cost ceiling. It was originally $1 million. It's proposed to increase it to $2 million. This is a contract to provide on-call construction management services in relation to the county's environmental facilities. The justification is after De Bruin's agreement was approved, the department decided to proceed with $2 million cost ceilings for the other on-call CM service agreements. Increasing De Bruin's cost ceiling will provide cost parity, consistency, with the other facilities' on-call CM agreements. The department recommends this amendment for De Bruin Engineers be approved as submitted.
Okay. Any questions? Legislator DeReggie Whitten.
So do you have any other reason to think that you're going to need $2 million?
It's a 5-year agreement, and, you know, we have a design on call also. We're starting to ramp up, doing all these little repairs to keep the system in really good operating condition. This is a great vehicle to manage the $2 to $3 or $5 million projects.
Because it just seems that, you know, if their reason for increasing the budget by 100% is just because to be in line with the other contractors.
Well, what's going to happen is we'll run out of money with this firm, and then we won't get better prices because the other firms will, the amount of proposers on the missions, we put out missions, will decrease. There's no guarantee we're going to get to the full
No, I understand.
ceiling, but we think it's fair to have everyone have the same. It's a shame we couldn't have pulled this, but it was already too late. This one, for some reason, jumped ahead of everybody else.
Okay, I just don't like to have it, you know, another 100% increase, another $1 million justified with the fact that, you know, the other guys got that. I don't know. I would like to see that your anticipated, like your costs might have gone up or something, but,
No, it's just to provide parity with the other firms.
all right.
So my question is, this contract is for on-call, which means that they're working on various contracts as needed, right?
Well, we call them missions.
Well, you can call it whatever you like, but that's what it is, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, why isn't this being rebid? Why is this an extension and not a new contract where you would go out for bid?
We just went through the round. We have 4 or 5 of these firms. This one somehow jumped ahead of the other firms.
What does that mean? Sorry.
We have a pool of on-call firms that we have awarded to. This is one of, I think it's 5.
Yeah,
All the other forms got awarded $2 million because the decision was made by the department right after this one with De Bruin was forwarded by this body.
But that doesn't really answer the question, does it? In other words, what I asked you was, since this is an on-call, it's not an ongoing single project contract. Another firm could easily just jump in and do it. It's not a continuity situation. So why is this being extended instead of rebid?
We were requesting to increase the budget for their work to be commensurate with the other firms that were awarded the exact same contract. It's like an allowance. As they win missions, they draw down on.
Okay, all right, I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No, we're good. The next one?
E1122.
Yep.
Vinnie Falkowski, Deputy Commissioner of Public Works. This is a personal service agreement with Arcadis and Hazen, a joint venture. It's a new on-call program management services. The cost ceiling is $3,500,000 per year. The current contract term is 12/6/2021 through 12/5/2026. The description is to provide capital project management, grant application preparation and management, support vendor responsibility determination activities, and support contract management activities on an on-call basis for DPW. The department recommends this on-call program management agreement for Arcadis and Hazen joint venture be approved as submitted.
Any questions? All right, so do you have another one, or are you done?
I have one more.
Okay. Why don't you just do that one?
E16-22, Vinnie Falkowski, Deputy Commissioner of Public Works. This is a retroactive amendment to a personal service agreement with CH2M Hill Engineering. It is a time extension only. The current contract terms were 6/4/2015 through 3/4/2019. The proposed contract terms are a 12-month extension to 12/30/2020 with an option for the Commissioner to extend an additional 12 months to 12/30/2021. This amendment is a time extension for construction management services on the Bay Park STP electrical distribution system phases 2 and 3, unit substation 2 and main unit substation, and replacement of plant-wide electrical duct bank. The amendment is for time only for payment purposes as the work was completed in 2021. The department recommends this amendment to CH2M Hill Engineering be approved as submitted.
You may have covered this, but why is this 2 years late? What?
There were a myriad of issues with this firm going back and forth. I think their PQ's timed out a couple of times. They never stopped working. They're not seeking any additional money. The project was completed late last year.
But okay, I understand that. But why would it take 2 years to get the amendment to us?
Again, it was difficulty with the firm and their qualifications, their personal qualifications. It just seemed every time we got across the finish line with one hurdle, they timed out and had to go back. And they're an international firm, so.
You know, we had an issue in the past with late contracts, and I think we were doing somewhat better. But I mean, today in particular, there's contracts that are 2, 3, 4 years old, and the problems with the disclosure. I can understand it delaying a contract, but for 2 years. So I mean, what can you do, you being the Department of Public Works, to get these to us in timely fashion?
Well, what my group's doing, we're trying to get to these earlier, but this one, again, it kept timing out. It's frustrating for us, too. I do apologize.
Thank you. Robert Cleary. You're still tracking the contracts in terms of where they are in the process to get into contracts and amendments?
Yes, generally, we have everything in the system now, yes.
Okay. But I mean, are you seeing any use a better term, backsliding, in which contracts are now getting longer and longer times before they're submitted to the legislature?
I haven't done an analysis recently in that regard. I'll do one and come back to you. I think that Department of Public Works last year made a concerted effort to clean up some old records, and this is one of the stragglers from that process, just as County Attorney did as well. But I can't say systematically exactly where we are in that regard. I think you're right. I think we are doing marginally better than we have in the past. We still have more improvement to go, though. The disclosure forms are a challenge. They always will be. That's understood. Usually you don't have a case where you have one principal or another. Usually they come in groups so that they all are timely at the same time, and then you can get the contract submitted. In this particular case, there may have been some coordination problems on the part of the vendor. But I'll do an analysis and report back.
Okay. We would appreciate the analysis and the report back.
Robert, can I just ask you also, we used to get that list of, I forget what it was called, but I call it late contracts. There was a softer name.
Well, I think that's part of the analysis
Yeah,
we're going to have to do.
But I think we need that like regularly.
Okay.
Like almost for every rules committee. And, I understand there are reasons why contracts can be late, but I think you called it, I forgot what you called it. What did they call that list?
I remember the list you're talking about.
Yeah, it was retroactive contracts, was that it? Okay.
Yeah.
So it just gives us a heads up that you're, number one, aware of it, and if you have a short explanation, it could kind of save us some time up here as well.
Okay, I'll start cataloging them.
Yeah, so we could really, I used to like that. I don't know why it stopped, but I think it'd be good to get that rolling again. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good. Any others? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Which one did we not cover? 13? Okay, let's go back to 13.
Good afternoon. Harold Lutz, Nassau County Department of Public Works, Director of Traffic Engineering. This contract is for an on-call traffic services contract with AECom Engineering. We had made original selections when the initial RFP went out. What we're finding is that the 5 firms that we have selected, we needed more support from our consultant community, so we've added 3 firms total, AECom being the final one in the batch. Because they're a 55,000 person firm, getting all their disclosures and their attorneys to review our contracts and go back and forth between the company and the county, plus in the midst of the pandemic is when we had initiated the original request to add them in. It did take a significant amount of time to get the contract forward. But again, this is to provide support in the form of staffing, inspection, traffic studies, and specialized traffic engineering work.
There was an RFP. There were 8 proposals, and this vendor was technically ranked number 7.
That's correct.
So why does it make sense for us to, if we do an RFP, to bring on almost everyone that responds to the RFP? In other words, if someone's farther down that list, wouldn't you be looking to give work to 1, 2, or 3 as opposed to number 7?
We have maxed out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is the issue that we're having. We've actually already gotten legislative approval for firms number 6 and 8. AECom was in between the 2. AECom, again, is a much larger firm. Their pricing is somewhat limiting, but they do have to submit proposals. And again, looking for staff support, we just sent out a recent RFP. 3 of the 6 firms that currently have contracts replied that they don't have available staff to support the county for existing staffing. So unfortunately, whether they're 7th, I mean, there are firms, if they obtained a rating or a ranking of, a very low ranking, then I wouldn't consider them, for a contract. But we're at a point where, finding staff and finding people who are interested in coming to the county is tough, but also the outside world is looking for engineers, and there's just not a tremendous amount of qualified people that are interested in the work.
Okay. But you're satisfied that they have the qualifications to do the work?
Yeah, they're a very large firm, and I think that's kind of what scared us off a little bit about selecting them as one of the top 5 firms. Just because a firm that large, they're not on Long Island, they're in the city. It can just be a little bit more difficult. Some of their employees may or may not be on Long Island, where they'd be, less apt to come here from Manhattan. But obviously, there are staff. We've gotten to know them a little bit through other projects in the department, and they do have the ability to support us.
Okay. Sure. Minority Leader Abrahams.
Just a quick question. It's unrelated, and you probably use this term quite a bit, but I've never heard it before. You said you were maxed out in terms of 1, 2, and 3. What does that mean necessarily?
Maxed out meaning they don't have any more staff to support us for staffing, and we're coming close to the total contract values on several of the firms already. And with the upcoming workload that I foresee, we're going to use up the allowable cap in the remaining contracts. So we're adding total contract value through other contracts to increase the overall support.
Okay, so 1, 2, and 3 basically don't have the staff to meet the county's county's criteria. Okay,
correct. And we have a number of traffic studies out right now for various areas throughout the county, and those are spread out among the existing 5 firms. It's just, and we're not their only client, so everybody seems to be very busy at this point, but we don't have a ton of staff,
I understand
as an industry.
Now I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Legislator Schaefer.
Hi, Harold, just a quick question. So the firms that have said that they're maxed out, are they engaged in work with the county currently as well? Or
Yes.
they have, okay, so they are.
Yes, they have current contracts on the traffic on-call, and I believe several of them have other departments on calls as well.
Okay, so they just can't.
There's traffic people. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, I was just gonna say, so they just can't do any more than they already have from the county?
Yeah, like I said, 3 of the 6 that we just requested came back and said they have no available staff for a staffing issue.
Okay.
For studies, they seem to have a little bit more time, but, everybody's kind of getting back to work now, and
Right.
we just can't find people.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Harold.
Thank you.
Yep. So we'll call A10 separately. We'll call it right now, actually. It's, I'm sorry, E10, 2022, with the Bruin Engineering and PC. All in favor of that contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, that one passes by a vote of 4 to 3. Okay, I neglected to call public comment. Anyone have public comment? Nope. All righty. So the balance of the contracts that are before us are A9, E4, E15, A1, E6, E7, E8, E9, E11, E13, and E16. Any debate or discussion on those contracts? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously, and we'll put the Rules Committee in recess. Finance is next. Public safety is next.
Good afternoon. At this time, I will call the Public Safety Committee to order. And I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, ma'am. Public Safety Committee roll call. Legislator Deborah Muley. Legislator Sheila Bino. Ranking Member Delia DeRiggi Whitten. Legislator John Ferretti. Here. Legislator Mazi Melissa Philippe.
Here.
Vice Chairman Stephen Rhodes. Chairman Denise Ford. We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. There is one item on the agenda today, which is clerk item number 66-22. Clerk item number 66-22 is an ordinance supplemental to an appropriation ordinance in connection with the probation department. May I have a motion? Moved by Legislator Peel, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. The item is before us. And good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Ford, Vice Chair Rhodes, and members. The item before you is item number, Doug Landsman, probation. The item before you is number 66-22 for our annual Supervision and Treatment Services grant, known as STIP. It's now in its 11th year of operation, which seeks alternatives to detention. The grant is $265,000, of which 62% is reimbursable by the state. The STIP program, for juveniles program, is part of the state's initiative for juvenile justice reform. The program seeks to increase the number of juvenile delinquents referred to and adjusted at probation intake, thereby reducing the number of detention claim care days, and establishes viable alternatives to residential placement. There is one CBI that the grant has. It also contains peer diversion court, juvenile justice services, electronic monitoring, officer supervision, community service, and interactive journaling.
So it's working to try to keep some of these younger people from going to be incarcerated, correct?
That's the idea. It's called Alternatives to Detention. And if we can implement some of these programs prior to children going into JDC, it's a big savings.
It is. And then how many young people do you have involved in this? Do you have a number?
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, I have some quick stats. Children who were placed on electronic monitoring during the year 2020 to 2021 would be 159 cases, or people served 159. We've had FCATs, family court appearance tickets, 27 people. Peer diversion court, we've had 70 people served. Interactive journaling, 19. And community service monitoring, there was 0 because we were not able to do anything during COVID.
The pandemic. Do you find that, do you also follow the numbers, like with some of the young people that are in this diversion program? Do you look to see if once they are now, whether they serve their times, I don't even know the proper terminology, that say basically have served it, now they don't have to go to this court, they don't have to have the monitoring. Do they check to see if any of them, like any recidivism, where they come back for this, or do they find it's more successful at keeping them from getting into trouble again?
Well, that's an excellent suggestion. I don't know if we have stats on that. I can certainly check. Yeah. But the idea is to, of course, keep people from recidivism.
Yeah. Because that might be good, so that, like, at least we know, like, if the programs are working, which ones are working best, because the intent is, I'm hoping that, because a lot of times when they do go to jail, they can become even worse criminals because they're with a certain group of people. So, I'd like to try to see how many of them we can actually put on a better path.
Understood. So, hopefully this will prevent kids from being involved in further crimes in their lives. This will stop it at this point. And
right, yeah. Do they get to go to, if they have the bracelets on, do they get to go to regular school, or they can't?
Yes, I believe so.
They do.
Yes, I believe so. The idea is to keep them out of the system, enable them to continue their lives as normal.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. Legislator Millay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I may have misheard, but did I hear you say 265,000 or Okay, because what I'm seeing here is 164,000?
Yes, that would be, yes, that's correct, legislator. It's 265,000, out of which 62% is reimbursed.
So this is the reimbursal?
Yes, it is.
money.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? No, all right. Any public comment? I see none. All those in favor of passing this item, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Okay. There is no business, other business in front of this committee. May I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator Ferretti. All those in favor? We're adjourned. Everyone have a good afternoon. Thank you. Planning is next.
At this time, I'd like to call the Planning, Development, and Environment Committee to order, and I will call the roll. Legislator Drucker? Legislator Bino? Ranking Member Legislator Szilagyi?
Here.
Legislator Ford? Legislator Giuffre? Vice Chairman Tom McKevitt? Legislator McKevitt? And myself, Laura Schaefer, I am here. Thank you. Okay. We have a quorum. Okay, we're going to adjourn the meeting. Quickest, easiest meeting ever, because we're not untabling this item. All right, we don't need to vote on that, right? Or we do? Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. So moved. Legislator Giuffre, second, and Legislator McKevitt, just in case. All right. Next is towns, villages, and cities. All right, I'm going to try it again, because I'm going to chair this meeting. I'm the vice chair one, but I'm going to chair it today. Okay. Okay, at this time I will call towns, villages, and cities committee to order, and I will call the roll. Legislator Delia DeRigi-Whitten, Legislator Muley, Ranking Member Legislator Lafazan. Not here? Okay. Legislator Gaylor.
Present.
Legislator Kennedy.
Here.
Vice Chair Schaefer, that's me, I'm here. And Legislator Polite. Okay. We have a quorum. Okay. All right, there's an addendum to this agenda. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules? So moved by Legislator Kennedy, seconded by Legislator Muley. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Okay, the rules have been suspended. So there's one item on the agenda today. It's clerk item number 68-22. It's an ordinance to implement the local government assistance program in Nassau County. May I have a motion? So moved by legislator Gaylor, seconded by legislator Muley. Item is before us, and who do we have to speak?
Good afternoon, Andy Persick, Office of Management and Budget. This is the annual renewal of the legislation for local government assistance to both the towns, cities, and villages. I'm here to answer any questions, but it's a routine matter, for lack of a better thing, so.
Okay. Is there any debate or discussion on this item? Okay, any public comment? There being none, all in favor of item 68-22, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, any opposed? The item passes unanimously. There's no other business.
Thank you.
Thank you. In front of this committee, so may I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, can the record reflect, please, that the legislator Lafsan was on and voted?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by legislator Kennedy, seconded by legislator Philippe. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay. Okay. This committee is adjourned. Public Works is next.
Excellent. If I could have the members of the Public Works Committee come back to the chambers, that'd be great. All right. At this time, I'll call the Public Works Committee to order. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you. Public Works roll call. Legislator Carrier Solage.
Here.
Legislator Arnold Drucker. Ranking Member Celia Bino. Thank you. Legislator James Kennedy.
Here.
Vice Chairman John Giuffre.
Here.
Legislator Laura Schaefer.
Here.
Chairman C. William Gedler III.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. So we have two items on the calendar today. Those are items 56-22 and 57-22, which are both ordinances supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Department of Public Works. May I have a motion? Moved by legislator Kennedy, seconded by legislator Bino. Thank you. The item is before us. Do we have somebody from the administration here who'll talk on the matter?
Good afternoon, Sharon Passard, Transportation Supervisor, Nassau County Department of Public Works. Item 56-22 is for a supplemental appropriation for $7.5 million from the Federal Transit Administration for the procurement of 6 40-foot electric vehicles and the necessary infrastructure for the Nassau Intercounty Express.
Okay, we're going to ask a few questions in between, and then what we'll do is we'll move on to the next one before we take a vote. So, a question I have is, of the $7.5 million that's coming for this battery electric rolling stock, do we currently have charging stations to do this electric charging? Does the current infrastructure that the county have support this rolling stock, is what I'm saying?
The $7.5 million will include installing of the necessary infrastructure to operate the electric vehicles.
And where would those be installed, if you don't mind me asking? Because these are buses, so it's not like, at the house where you plug in with your 110 cord or whatever, this has got to be a monumental charging station. Where do we propose that this is going?
Currently, we are going to be utilizing the south side of the facility to install the 6 electric chargers that would be needed.
So that's the facility up here at Garden City Park or wherever, Garden City?
Yes, known as Mitchell Field.
Are we doing anything with the Rockville Center depot that's kind of in a mothball status?
Yes, at this point, in the next 2 years, depending on the funding that comes through, if we are to expand the use of electric vehicles, we will be utilizing the Rockville Center facility with the necessary infrastructure to do so.
All right, very good. Does, anybody, have any debate or discussion, fellow legislators? No? Any public comment? Let's move on to the, next one, 5722.
5722 addresses additional local funding to the amount of $23,670, and it's from the disposition of federal assets that will be added to use against the local share for federal funds to be received from 2021.
So then,
Can you just, like in layman's terms, what does that mean?
We disposed of federal assets that were beyond their useful life.
Right.
We received $23,000 from that.
Got it.
And it will be used against future assets and receipt of federal funds.
All right, very good, thank you. Any debate or discussion from fellow legislators? Any public comment? All right, all in favor of these two items signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, these items pass unanimously. There being no other business before this committee, may I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by legislator Schaefer, seconded by legislator Drucker. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. All right, this committee is now adjourned.
I'd like to call the Health Committee, Health and Social Service Committee to order and ask the clerk to please take the roll call.
Thank you. Health Committee roll call. Legislator Joshua Lafazan.
Here.
Legislator Arnold Drucker. Ranking Member Delia DeRiggi Winton. Legislator C. William Gaylor III. Legislator Laura Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Chairman Mazi Phillip.
Here.
Chairwoman Rosemarie Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. There are 4 items on the agenda today. The first is clerk item 61-22, which is a resolution to authorize the transfer of appropriations heretofore made within the budget for the year 2022. Can I have a motion, please? By Legislator Gaylor, seconded by Legislator Drucker.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Gerard Giuliano, Nassau County Department of Health. Their item 61-22 represent 2 budget transfers. The first one is for $36,506 for STD disease intervention services, moving monies from fringe and supplies into salaries. This program investigates reports of STDs, confirms, identifies individuals who are at high risk. There was some additional dollars that were left over from fringe and supplies, and we're looking to move it into salary. The second item on this agenda is for the children with special health.
You know what? We didn't call that item. So, which is an ordinance. That's 67-22, correct?
Yeah, everything here now is 61-22.
Is the first one?
Is the first one, and that consists of 2 budget transfers.
Okay.
One is for the STD disease intervention services, and the second is for the children with special health care needs. That second request for budget transfer resulted for this important program, which deals with children with exceptional health care needs, developmental, chronic, physical, or behavioral, who require additional health services. There were some iPads that were ordered that we were told that were going to be late. And what happened is we moved the money into next year's budget, but then the monies came in this year's budget. That's for a total of $4,175. These are 2 budget transfers we're asking for in this item.
Okay, in the one item.
It's one item
right.
that contains
with
2 transfers.
With the 2 transfers, okay. Are there any questions or comments from the legislators on that item? Okay. Any public comment? Okay, so hearing none. All those in favor of clerk item 61-22 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, that will move on to finance. All right, the next is clerk item 63-22, which is an ordinance supplemental for the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the health department. May I have a motion, please, by legislator Schaefer, seconded by legislator DeRigi Whitten.
Yes, Gerard Giuliano again, Nassau County Department of Health, for this particular item 63-22 regarding the rabies program. This is a request for, this is a supplemental appropriation, a grant that was being given to us by the New York State Health Department in the amount of $20,360. These are for rabies prevention services in the county, control services in the county, exposure, treatment, consultation, vaccine, and other things that go on with our rabies program. There is no impact to our budget with this. There is no, this covers the grant in our rabies program, so we ask that this committee pass this matter and accept the funds from the state.
Any questions or comments from the legislators? Okay, any from the public? Okay, all in favor of clerk item 63-22 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, then this will also move on to finance. Clerk item 65-22 is an ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance connection with the medical examiner's office.
I'm not here to speak on that.
Okay. You might be on the next one. Okay.
Good afternoon. Timothy Hahn, Medical Examiner's Office. This is a supplemental.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, motion by legislator Schaefer, seconded by legislator Drucker. I'm sorry.
Okay. Timothy Hahn, Medical Examiner's Office. This is supplemental appropriation related to an increase in funding for the New York State Department of Health's Enhanced Postmortem Toxicology Grant in the amount of $29,651. It's used to support the effectiveness and accuracy of postmortem toxicology testing related to death investigations, in particular for those related to the opioid and fentanyl and designer benzodiazepine drugs.
Any questions or comments from the legislator? Any public comment? Tim, just while you're here, I just want to thank you for all that your department has done. I know during COVID you were really pretty much bombarded, and many of your staff had to go out doing things that they normally wouldn't have had to do. So I thank you for that, and dealing with this issue, the opioid issue, you know, became really quite a difficult problem during COVID too, because so many people were shut in. So just thank you for all you've done and your department has done.
All right, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Nothing? Then all in favor of clerk item 65-22 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? This will move on to finance also. And the final item is 67-22, which is an ordinance supplemental for the annual appropriation ordinance connection with the health department. Motion by legislator I was going to ask legislator, okay, legislator Gaylor, that's fine. And seconded by legislator Philippe.
Okay, hello again, Gerard Giuliano, Nassau County Department of Health. This is item number 67-22, a supplemental appropriation. It covers 4 grants. I'll take them one at a time. The first one is the Immunization Action Plan for $302,000 from the State Health Department to Nassau County. The Nassau County Health Department, which provides for immunizations of children, adolescents, and all the services related to trying to increase immunization and making sure that that does occur here in Nassau County as soon as children are born, provides educational services as well as outreach. There will be no impact to the budget as far as this appropriation is concerned, and it covers fringe as well. The second appropriation is the TB prevention and for the TB prevention and control program, and this aims to eliminate tuberculosis in Nassau County through surveillance, education, case management, control investigations, all the way through what we call directly observed therapy, which is where we make sure that those individuals who are taking tuberculosis medications do take their medications, various ways to do that. And so the $480,000 $18,578 being appropriated by the state to the Department of Health. Will cover salary, fringe benefits, mileage, travel, program supplies, and things of that nature. Ask that you accept that one as well. The third one is in the amount of $294,343, again from the state to the Nassau County Department of Health for the adolescent tobacco use prevention. This goes into paying for our compliance checks, our certification checks of those who attempt to sell tobacco products to anyone under the age of 21. It also covers complaint investigations and all things related to that. The fourth appropriation coming from the state is for the expanded partner services. These are services provided by the department for STDs and things of that nature in terms of surveillance, verification of treatment, contact investigations, which take a long time. It's in the amount of $155,000. And so this will help fund our administrative costs. No matching funds required for this appropriation from the state, and we ask that the committee pass all of these appropriations.
Okay, any questions from the legislators? Legislator Schaefer?
Just a quick question for you.
Please.
What is the prevalence of TB in the county?
So there is tuberculosis in the county. It wavers from year to year, and we find this to be true in many counties as well. There is prevalence, and it keeps us very active. We run the program year-round. It is staffed by a couple of members who run it full-time. Contact investigations take a very long time. Sometimes they get complicated when individuals don't want to take their medications. So there is some prevalence. It is well under control, I am happy to say. But it is under control because of all the actions that are taken by the health department basically on a daily basis.
I would assume it is because I never really hear about it, but do you know what percentage?
No, but I can get that. I could get that made
Just
available to
curious.
you. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
If you could, we'd appreciate that. Thank you. Sure. Legislator DeRiggi Whitten?
I'm sorry, when you were just talking about the item that involved tobacco surveillance and things like that, what number was that?
So, well, this is all under item 67-22.
Oh, it is under that one. Okay, because I didn't have that in mind.
Yeah, there's 4 appropriations in one item number.
All right, thank you.
Could I just ask a question? For some reason, I don't remember us always doing, lumping all of them together. I always felt like we did them separate. Is that different, or is that what we did and I just have a memory lapse or something?
I'm not clear how they have done that in the past in terms of when they bring these items before you. For today's item, they were all lumped together.
Okay, no, that's fine, but, and it really doesn't matter as long as we're, Sure. Legislator Gaylor.
Over here.
Yes.
Okay, good, easy one here, softball. Regarding the adolescent tobacco use.
Yes.
Does that include vape products as well? And do you work in, so 2-part question. Second part being, do you work in conjunction with Consumer Affairs, staking out places that sell cigarettes or vape to adolescents?
So, in answer to your second question, for a time we did work with Consumer Affairs, and the only reason that came to an end because this process became a little bit more complicated. So there, we have the state authority that we act under. There's local legislative authority, but then there's been litigation on this. And as a result of the litigation that's taken place really on the state level, it's forced us to have to do this program independently from Consumer Affairs. And so, in consultation with the county attorneys over the course of last year, that was the nature of that conversation. And so we, for the most part, we handle this program wholly within the Department of Health. I apologize, your first question was?
The adolescent tobacco use program include such things like vape products, or is it strictly tobacco in cigarette form?
So, and that's an excellent question. And earlier on, it was just the tobacco products, but now that there's been amendments that have been made to the state public health law in regards to Article 13F and vape products, those are included too when we do our certification checks and our compliance checks at facilities.
Okay, and you just, that begs one more question. Does it also include marijuana use now?
I believe once those regulations finally come down from the state, and depending on how they amend it in, we'd have to wait and see how they're going to include that in the services that our grant coverage provides.
Excellent, thank you very much.
You're
Very
welcome.
informative.
Thank you. So I just wanted to verify that. So those investigations used to take place with Consumer Affairs?
There was a short period of time where they were on board trying to assist with places, taking a visit to take a look to see whether they had vape products on their shelves and things of that nature. But the litigation in this got fairly complex and sort of carved out the kinds of things that we could do and get reimbursed for doing on behalf of the state, and what Consumer Affairs therefore wasn't able to do. And so in speaking with the county attorney's office, they asked us to completely bifurcate that out. And I believe Consumer Affairs stopped handling those few things that they were doing on their own accord. And that was only as of recent that they started assisting with that to begin with.
Okay, and that goes for the cigarette products also, or?
Yeah, well, in terms of what we do under the state grant, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of clerk item 6722, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Then this will also move on to finance.
Thank you.
There's no other, thank you. There's no other business before this committee. May I have a motion to adjourn by Legislator Philippe and seconded by Legislator Drucker. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. This committee is adjourned. And finance is next. Yeah, I think we're good. I told
Okay, Finance Committee. Mike, would you please do the honors? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Finance Committee roll call. Legislator Joshua Lafazan.
Here.
Legislator Carrier Solage.
Here.
Ranking Member Arnold Drucker. Legislator Rosemary Walker. Legislator Thomas McKevitt. Vice Chairman John Ferretti. Chairman Howard Copel.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to first have a motion by Mr. McKevitt to suspend the rules, seconded by Mr. Drucker. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please vote, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the rules are suspended. Next, what we're going to do is vote on a number of items that have already gone through other committees and have been the subject of discussion by minority and majority and do not require any further discussion. So those items are numbers 56 of 22, 57, 61, 63, 65, 66, 67, and on the addendum, 68. And that motion is made by Ms. Walker and seconded by Mr. Lafazan. All those in favor of those items, please so indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Those items are unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to the non-consent items. Number 60 of 22 is a transfer of appropriations. And the motion on that is made by Mr. Ferretti, seconded by Mr. Drucker.
Good afternoon. Kevin Crane, Office of Community Development. The item you have before you, item 60.22, is a resolution to authorize a transfer of budgeted salary and fringe funding received by our office through the appropriation under the Community Development Block Grant, COVID, and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, COVID funding. Both grants were authorized under the CARES Act. The transfer is requested to allow for budgeted salary and fringe to be used to provide additional assistance to homeless populations impacted by the COVID pandemic.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. All those in favor of number 60, please say aye. Any opposed? Those, that's unanimous. Number 60, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, what other ones do you have?
I have 62.
Go for it, please. Number 62.
Okay,
Supplemental Office with Community Development. Motion is made by Ms. Walker, seconded by Mr. McKevitt.
Thank you again, Kevin Crean, Office of Community Development. Item 6222 is a supplemental appropriation of approximately $179,000. This is funding that will be received from the New York State Office of Temporary Disability Assistance. This will be used to provide outreach and application assistance associated with the Emergency Rental Assistance Program funding.
Okay, anyone have any questions? All right, number 62. All those in favor of number 62, please so indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
64, is that yours? No. 64 is an ordinance supplemental to with the Housing Office of Housing, and motion is made by Mr. Drucker, seconded by Ms. Walker.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kenitha Pettis, Director of Housing.
Soila Ziegler, HR and Fiscal Advisor.
Okay, thank you.
The item in front of you, 6422, Nassau County Office of Housing is a local administrator for New York State Housing Choice Voucher Program, which is a HUD program. This is a 100% grant-funded department.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank all those in favor. Please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see what we have on. I have the first addendum right here. Yeah. So this is All right, I'll go. Sorry. Number 70 is an ordinance to amend Ordinance 182 of 2016 to repeal the Department of Assessment license fee for the use of the tax roll. And that motion is made by Mr. Ferretti, seconded by Ms. Walker.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, legislators. Chris Lemoyne from the administration. Clerk, item 70-2022 amends ordinance number 180-2016 by repealing the Department of Assessment's license fee of $10,000 for the commercial use of the county tax roll. This repeal will help the county comply with the New York State Committee on Open Government's opinion that the $10,000 fee is inconsistent with the Freedom of Information Law.
And would be fair to say that the cost of providing this service is minimal, a couple of cents to make a disc, right?
Right. I mean,
versus a $10,000 fee.
Right. The cost. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Good. Any questions? Okay. All those in favor of number 70, please so indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is unanimous. Thank you.
Aye.
All right. Now, Mr. McKevitt makes a motion for executive session, and, actually, I have to call the items first, right? Okay. I'm going to call two items. Number 69, which is a resolution authorizing a settlement in the action entitled Morahan, I think I've got that right, versus County of Nassau. Number 71 is authorizing a settlement in the action entitled McCarthy versus Nassau. Mr. Ferretti moves those items, and Ms. Walker seconds them. All those in favor, Now we need a motion for executive session. That is made by Mr. McKevitt, seconded by Mr. Drucker. All those in favor of going into executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? We are going to executive session. On these two items, everybody is invited into the majority room. When I say everybody, I meant members of this committee as well as the Rules Committee. We're back in session, and we have two items that,
We just need one more minute, a couple minutes, and then we just talk.
This time we're really back in session, right? Let's see. What numbers were these?
69 and 72.
All right, on numbers 69 and 72, all those in favor of those settlements, please so indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes. Those items pass unanimously. Mr. McKevitt moves to adjourn. Ms. Walker seconds. Anybody? All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned, and we're back to rules.
Okay, I'm calling the Rules Committee back into session. Hopefully. We have a number of items that are going to be called at once as part of a consent agenda. These items just went through other committees a few moments ago. 56, 57, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, and 71. Before we call those, I need a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. All in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That carries unanimously. Rules are suspended. So all those items I just called out, motion to adopt them. Legislator Bino makes that motion, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. Any debate or discussion on those items? Any public comments? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Item 31 of 2022, a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an intermunicipal agreement with the Incorporated Village of Williston Park. Motion by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. Any debate or discussion on this? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carries unanimously. Item 39 is a resolution to ceremonially designate a body of water in Silver Lake Park as Caroline's Pond and directing the Department of Public Works to install conspicuous signage. Moved by Legislator Bino, seconded by Legislator DeReggie Whitten. Any debate or discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. We have item 70, which is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 180 of 2016 as amended to repeal the Department of Assessment license for use of the tax roll. Moved by Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell, seconded by Legislator Schaefer. This is the removal of the licensing fee the county was charging for access to the data relating to assessment.
Yeah. Thank you. How are you?
Hi, Chris Lemoyne from the administration. How are you?
First of all, I'm happy to see that we're able to get rid of this fee at this point. However, I just had a couple of questions regarding the procedure. I know that the ordinance says there's a question of whether or not we're going to have to change the charter, which says that a fee shall be charged. So we're going to have to change that to say that it shall not be charged or avoid that whole subject. That's correct? Subparagraph, no, it's different than than the fee itself. It's part of the charter. I'm sorry, again, it's,
Ordinance and anti-heavy ordinance.
right, and what was it again?
Subsection
605, subsection. Just for the record, it's sub D 605, so we're gonna have to address that as well. Otherwise, if we only repeal this, it's not gonna be in sync with what the charter states.
Brian Libbard from the County Attorney's Office. Just with regard to specifically the technicalities of that, our understanding of this is that the fee is being set to 0. At this time, there's no necessity for a charter amendment. There is a fee. The fee is now set to 0. So, from a technical standpoint, that would be what we believe this accomplishes. The charter amendment, in our view, is not necessary. Relative to the fee, there may be some other thing that's unrelated, but this is related to the fee.
And in addition, believe the charter language says the fee shall be set by ordinance. So, we're changing it by ordinance. So I think that's consistent.
All right, so when we receive a FOIL request, then are we gonna say that there is a fee and the fee is 0?
We will charge a fee based off of what's required under the FOIL statute. That's what we will do going forward. Whatever it costs to reproduce a record is what we would charge. There's a whole guidelines and framework set forth in the FOIL law, and that's what we would do.
So again, we're not trying to give you a hard time with this. I think it's a great thing to do, but I just think it should be maybe cleaned up. Maybe, if the charter says that a fee shall be charged and then we say the fee is 0, it just looks a little poor. I know, but if we're going to do it, might as well try to do it right. I think it's worth cleaning it up.
Yeah, we could certainly we'll take a look at that and see. Thank you.
There's also, just for the record, if you could look at subsection C, which also refers to the FOIL. Again, it's just, if anyone, we should have our charter match what we're doing. I believe, I'm a firm believer of it. Even if people don't always look at it, if it is referenced, it might look foolish. So let's get everything in line, okay?
Okay, sure, we'll do. Legislator, thank you.
So, I would send to the county attorney's office the sections that you're citing so that they can follow up. I'm sure they're taking it down in any event, but we have full legislature in 2 weeks, so whatever you need to look at, we'd prefer you look at it as early as possible.
Of course, we will.
Okay, thank you.
And possibly if we could get a memo just saying that it will be adjusted, it will be amended, the charter, just so that it is in compliance with this. And again, I don't think saying there is a fee and the fee is 0 is what we're looking for. So if you could get a memo just saying that we will be, changing the charter to reflect that, that's really what I would like to see.
I don't want to make any real sua sponte comments or ad hoc comments, but I would just say, legislator, that it seems even for our office to make such a representation, we really couldn't make it because it would be up to the legislature to make such a change or to the administration to request such a change. Of course, we will look into anything this body requests, but I don't know that our office could generate a memo saying, yes, this is what we're going to do, because that's not our role in the process.
But I think if the county attorney states that should be done, that's the way I would envision it happening. Getting a memo from the county attorney saying that the charter, should be adjusted to reflect what we're changing in here today.
Yeah, I would just take a look at the sections you're citing and see if that's necessary under the law. If it is, we'll issue you an opinion to that effect.
That's exactly what I'm asking for, but if you could have that by the time we have full ledge, then you'd be a rock star.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Sua sponte comments? You're definitely a lawyer. All right, anyone else? Nope, okay, all good.
Thank you.
Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed? All right, carries unanimously. And then
Okay, we have one last item, and that would be number 69. And let the record reflect that the presiding officer, Nick Lello, has recused himself. He's left the chamber. He did not participate in any debate or discussion, including the executive session on this, and he will not cast a vote. Okay, so all those in favor of number, I'm sorry, we need a motion on that, and that is moved by Legislator Ferretti and seconded by Legislator Drucker. I'm sorry, Legislator, who do we have left there? Rhodes. Good. All those in favor? I'm sorry? Oh. Rhodes, yeah. Ferretti and Rhodes. Ferretti's not on. I'm looking at the wrong roster over here. Okay. Seconded by the minority officer. Motion made by Mr. Rhodes, seconded by the minority officer. No, it already seconded. All right, the Reggie Whitten seconded. Wow. It's complicated negotiations here. All right, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Okay, we have one abstention, so we have 5 to 1. Right? 5-0-1. All right, now Mr. Rhodes moves to adjourn. Mr. Abraham seconds it. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. We are adjourned. Are there any opposed? No, okay. We're adjourned.